Okay, these are the matchups. And this whole thing is about matchups, just not what the coach calls, what the quarterback executes, but it's who wins the one-on-one battles. Let's talk about the pass catchers. I said 3 weeks ago when we went to Wild Card Weekend, who can Patrick Mahomes trust? Because it's been such an up and down, erratic season. And I said he's going to trust Kelsey, and maybe he'll find one other receiver that he can throw to that'll catch some balls. And it's kind of worked out that way. It's Kelsey, it's Rashee Rice, and they've started to run the ball a little bit better with Isaac Pacheco. My only concern about Kansas City is, can they protect him? Because that offensive front has not played really well. And in terms of Purdy, he comes to the line of scrimmage and he points, and he's pointing at Kansas City. Pick your poison. Who you think you're going to defend?
Exactly.
Because Purdy looks around behind him, and he's got CMC at running back. He's got Debo. He's got Ayuk. He's got Kittle. Is Kansas City going to be able to defend all that? Who are they going to take away? So that's going to be fun to see if Mahomes has more than one or two guys he can actually trust against a good Niner defense, and then to see how Purdy distributes the football, because I don't think Kansas City can cover everybody.
Yeah, no way.
So that's going to be interesting. Okay, let's talk about the wide receivers. Rashee Rice, 99 catches in a breakout season, 12 touchdowns. I can't trust Marquez Scantling. I just don't know that Kansas City has got reliable second or fourth guys that they're going to go to. Debo, 70 catches, 12 touchdowns. Ayuk, 81 catches, 8 touchdowns. And then you got the jet sweeps that they run with those wide receivers. So that wide receiver core for San Francisco is different and dynamic. I just don't think Kansas City's got enough wide receivers. Tight ends, Kelsey, 116 catches, 13 touchdowns. He's averaging 11 yards per catch. And after he catches it, he points up to Travis Swift in the owner's box. Kittle, he's got 65 receptions, 7 touchdowns. He's kind of the third link in the pass-catching core. Running backs, CMC, Christian McCaffrey, 2,283 all-purpose yards, 25 touchdowns. He can run it, he can catch it, and he'll blitz block for you. Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Pacheco's the heavy-duty guy. Helaire becomes kind of the third down guy, and they've just added back the speed guy, Jerick McKinnon, who's been on injured reserve for about a month, and he's kind of a third down, catch the ball in the backfield, dart and dash type guy. So McCaffrey obviously is the dominant one. Pass rush, Chris Jones, complemented by the blitz package, complemented by the linebackers, complemented by L'Jarius Sneed, who comes from the secondary. Their pass rush is superb. Frisco pass rush, that is Nick Bosa. And then the guys that they send on blitzes, Warner, Dre Greenlaw, they just overpower you, though, in the defensive front. Here's the wild card, the kickers. Harrison Butker, 40 for 42 on field goals, rock solid experience from long distance. He makes things happen, and he's really trustworthy. If I'm Frisco, I'm concerned about Jake Moody. He was 24 for 30 in field goals, but he missed 7 kicks, including point afters. Mm-hmm. And we got to the postseason. He looked a little skitterish, a little jumpy. I guess the question I have is the stage too big for him Super Bowl Sunday? Because in pressurized situation down the stretch, he missed field goals, and he missed what should have been chip shot point afters. Okay, keys to the game. Well, before I do keys to the game, you just give me your response to the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs, pass rush.
Well, this is great. I mean, the way this is all sorting out. Well, first of all, I think, you're right. The Niners have all these weapons. Not sure who Mahomes is going to trust, but I just see him always like third down, scrambling, and then the field opens up, and then he's got 30 yards of free space to run through. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that.
Or he has free space to wait for Travis Kelce to run into that zone and drop the ball to him.
Exactly. But then I look at all these other players. I think Pacheco has really impressed me. That dude just has this motor. The legs just don't stop. He's so wiry, so strong. I mean, he could have a really great game. But the kickers is an interesting one, because I remember when the Niners played in that 3-game losing streak, they lost to the Browns, and Moody missed a field goal at the end of the game to win it. So yeah, maybe the stage is too big.
Keys to the game. Let's talk about this. You know one thing about Andy Reid? He'll wear that big red jacket, and he'll show you things formation-wise that you haven't seen before. And that's what these playoffs are all about. He runs motion packages. Then from Kansas City's perspective, do they go tempo to try to wear down that 49er defense? You know, Kansas City's mindset, I think, has changed during the Tyreek Hill era. Down the field, down the field, down the field. Here, much more patience. That's okay. We'll take it in chunks of 8 and 12 or 17 yards. Throw to the tight end and throw to the receiver I can trust, and we'll just methodically keep you on the field. And then sometimes they go tempo and they wipe you out because, you know, you can't substitute because they're at the line of scrimmage snapping the ball. Watch for that. And I'll be intrigued to see when they look at the game films of what the Niners struggled with against Detroit and Green Bay, if they go after them in that same area. Will they run some things, how you block the run, because Detroit stomped them, beat them off the line of scrimmage and just push the ball down the field? Will Kansas City try to do some of that creative blocking because they saw something that San Francisco could not handle in those prior playoff games? I think Kansas City's defense has got to get Purdy off his spot. Now, Purdy, I'm not going to say he panics. He's got people around him. He'll spin out and try to get away. But when he spins out, he loses his accuracy and then is only looking at half the field. So will Kansas City try to move him off his spot? The Niners, they're going to pressure him. They're going to pressure Mahomes. And maybe it's just brute force pass rush, or maybe they send those linebackers. The key, though, they got to keep him in the pocket. They can't let him break containment or do some creative stuff, because when he gets into space, as you say, A, he can run. B, as I said, that's Kelsey waiting for him to come open.
Right.
They have a chemistry there, a mindset there. So does San Francisco double Kelsey and then just dare Pacheco and whatever young wide receivers don't drop the ball to hold up? It'd be fascinating. But keys to the game, what Kansas City's tempo does to San Francisco, and how do you get to the quarterback? How do you do it if you're Green Bay? How do you do it if you're trying to get to Purdy? How do you do it if you're trying to get to Mahomes? And how do those guys handle it? What do you think is the biggest key to the game?
Well, this is crazy. I mean, the way this whole thing's going out, because you're not sure if we're going to see the Patrick Mahomes, the magic man, the magic dust, the things that he does that makes him so dynamic. My heart is in it for the Niners because that's my childhood team. But I still think that Kansas City's going to win. I think you got the Vegas, you got the big stage, you got seriously, I think Taylor Swift being there is just going to create more of this aura about the Chiefs' invincibility. So I see the Chiefs winning this thing, and I see, Mahomes and Kelsey are the two guys.
I keep going back and forth on this because San Francisco's got more superstars than Kansas City does. Kansas City's got the unbelievable quarterback and a lot of team speed on defense. It's interesting. This morning, ESPN's NFL guys, all of them, they did a survey. Who's going to win? The vote was 43-15, Kansas City.
Yeah.
So I'm picking the Chiefs. I think there's an awful lot of firepower. Maybe it's going to be 31-27. I think there will be some turnovers, and I think the quarterbacks are probably going to have their hands full because these are two pretty good defenses. Hey, we get to halftime.